And now, Gimmick Infringement.
Welcome, everybody, to the Gimmick Infringement Podcast. I am Brad Winchester, and with me, as always, is my tag team partner, Tyler McDowell Blank. And Tyler, it is Sunday. We are outside of Worlds End. It is a beautiful day out here in the desert. It is wonderful outside. I'm kind of jealous I'm not out there right now. How you doing?
I couldn't agree with you more. I'm great, Brad. Merry Christmas. How did everything go for you?
Christmas was awesome. Merry Christmas to you. Happy birthday to your mom. It was such a great year. I'm absolutely blessed. We had a blast. Santa really came through with a good plan. And I think Freya left with everything she hoped for and more. I did not expect Christmas presents this year because Jess made sure to remind me over and over again that my Christmas present was going to see Raw with their presence. And I don't mean
I remember this conversation.
Yes.
Shout out to Raw. Shout out to Black Nativity.
Yes. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. And it was like, that was my Christmas gift. And Jess is like, well, you got to have stuff to open on Christmas. So I got I got a popcorn cooker for the fire pit. I love that stuff. I love like camp cookers and things like that. So I'm excited to try that out there and do some campfire popcorn. A big Amish popcorn set for the cooker, and then a s'mores like cast iron flat top thing that all stuff for the fire pit. So she knows how much I love having fires out back. It's just something comforting and awesome about it. And it reminds me of where I grew up. So had a lot of fun. Jess got her fancy hair dryer, but I think she was more excited about the jewelry that I got her. And Freya got me a wonderful gift, and I will save that for a little bit. But I got to hear about yours. How did it go? For those of you that caught the Christmas traditions episode, were you able to, I guess, enjoy some of those traditions?
I was definitely. This was the first Christmas in a long time in which I really prioritized the time spent with others rather than the gifts. I always feel this weight, this pressure of buying gifts, particularly for the fam. And this was the first time where I think we were all in agreement, particularly this birthday for my mom, and all of the energy and time and coin that went into her party, where it's like, no, this is really the year where, of course, we're going to have stuff under the tree, like you said, sure, but we're going to focus on the experiences and the time spent together. Yeah. So absolutely. We played Monopoly, celebrated mom and her birthday. We did all the things. It was just a really great time together, Brad. And I love what you said though about, well, you mentioned the jewelry in your case for that you got for Jess, which it sounds like she loved. In my case, I got my mom a Klay Thompson jersey. Klay Thompson is her favorite basketball player. And so she had the Golden State Warriors jersey, but we know Klay Thompson is no longer in Golden State.
Right.
So I splurged to get her a Mavericks jersey.
That's awesome.
She loved it. It fit properly. All was well. And I got my dad an ECW sweatshirt.
That's so cool.
Yeah. He's already worn it. My mom ended up getting him jeans, the fancy Levi's jeans, 511 nice. Jones.
Wow.
So he is styling. Mom is happy. Nothing but joy over here.
Yeah, same. I got a t-shirt and I got a button up. I put this on. I was like, I don't know where any of my sweaters are.
You're looking very classy, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate that. This is
we are on YouTube right now.
I walked out classy. And Jess was like, I love that sweater on you, and gave me a big hug. And I was like, oh, thank you. I'm glad to know that if I just put the sweater on, I can get some human contact.
It's giving college professor on
Winterberg. Big time. Or I'm about to go explore the Scottish Highlands. It's one of those two
Either
things.
Sound great to me.
I love this so much. And I just forget that I have it because it's in a separate bin from all my Christmas sweaters, the ugly sweaters and the sweatshirts and whatnot. The t-shirt that I got, Tyler, was a Bluey t-shirt. And I have a Bluey sweatshirt this year. It's like an ugly Christmas sweater, but it's a sweatshirt.
I think I've seen that. Didn't you wear that for a recording?
I wore that for our Christmas ones. Yes.
Nice,
I wore that for the Christmas specials.
Bluey is always in style.
Yeah. And Jess got me a Bluey shirt with a little Santa hat on it. And it says hooray or whatever it says on it.
Let's go.
I have gotten more compliments for that shirt and for my Bluey sweatshirt than almost any other pair of clothing that I had. The only thing that has topped that ever, Tyler, is the Will Ospreay jacket. Also a Christmas gift from years past.
Great investment.
Oh, so
I
good.
remember when we were teaching together, and the item I was complimented most on were these pair of Jordan 1s that I had. They were orange.
Oh, I remember
and
those. I
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
those.
yeah, yeah.
Those
Thank
are
you.
great.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Great. The
Yes.
legend still lives on.
Yes.
I forget how much I paid for those. Probably entirely too much. But I remember kids and colleagues complimenting me. So forget if I could teach at all. The fact that people appreciated the sneaker game was so good. Doesn't it always feel great when people, you always have that one signature item in your closet, whether it be a sneaker, a shirt, a sweater, where people always big up you for
Yes.
it. It brings me a lot of happiness.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't think
amazing,
I've lived
man.
up to it since. I don't know what my current item would be where I've received compliments, but those Jordan 1s circa 2017, 2018, it was a good investment.
And it's really fascinating to see what people think looks nice, because I would wear like dress pants, a dress shirt, like a bow tie, the suspenders
I
back when
remember
I was
that.
a little lighter, little freer, and I liked how I felt. I liked how I looked. People would compliment me on it, or how I looked, and I had a lot of fun figuring those things out, like what worked for me, and trying to figure out like who am I and what do I want to present to people? Because before it was like what's clean, and now we're back to sort of like what's clean again.
What's ironed?
Yeah.
And
So
you're speaking particularly in the teaching
in the
realm.
teaching realm, yeah.
Very different than a lot of other fields.
So people would say I look nice, or the kids would be like, "You look good," and one of the kids was like, "I just want to wear this," and they were like, "Yeah, look good, feel good, right?" And I was like, "Yes, thank you, that's it." And
Wise beyond their
it's
years.
not go spend a ton of money. It's hit the express clearance racks, buy the 3 for $50 or whatever it is of brand new shirts and stuff like that every once in a while,
You got that
and
Ross on Cortero.
100%. And you know, that was back when the Converse outlet was open, so I always had matching shoes, because the Converse outlet, it'd be 75% off, buy one get one plus coops every time you bought stuff.
And then inevitably, you know, a student that works there that maybe throw in
Yeah.
a little extra discount too.
Shout out to GI guest. We had Tessa Fry. Tessa Fry Lawler was
The
one of
great Tessa Fry Lawler.
Yes. She
Yes.
gifted me a pair of like Union Jack British Chucks at one point. I wore them out. I had to get rid of them, but it's stuff like that. What I found fascinating, Tyler, was that people wouldn't say I look nice, I look dressed up. I would get like my students would be like, "Why are you all dressed up today?" When I would wear the shirt, the button up dress shirt with jeans. I would get asked, "Why am I dressed up?" But if I wore dress pants and a dress shirt, no comments ever. I looked dressier to them in jeans and fascinating. So I don't know what to make of it. I thought that was professorial, wearing the shirt and the jeans more than anything else. And maybe I just got to wear this to work. I'll wear this on Monday when we get back and see how it goes. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
But in the meantime, you're going to enjoy that second week of winter break.
Oh,
Got Christmas. We got that first week of winter break. And now New Year's week 2. Sounds like you're enjoying it. I love that for
I
you.
am. I'm finally getting some rest. I'm about to go back to the school and tear it an absolute new one in the shop to get work done that we weren't able to get done. So I got to get a hold of some kids and be like, meet me at the shop, bring clothes you don't care about. I recommend a respirator and lots of gloves and probably a gallon of hand sanitizer and maybe some bleach and maybe some holy water, because it's going to get real bad in there. But we are going to be disassembling the entire theater shop and then remaking it in our own image. I'm really excited to get it done. Could be a lot of work, but I'm really excited to get working on it. And this is the only time we can do it, Tyler. But for now, I'm going to spend time with my family and with Freya. And Freya is my sole reason for celebrating this season. I have a lot of reasons to celebrate, but man, have I enjoyed getting this time with my kid. She's the sweetest kid in the world. She's the most thoughtful kid. I'm convinced I will not hear any other nominations. And I want to talk about it. So let's get into it, Tyler. It's time for Someday When You Have Kids. Play the music.
And now it's time for
Someday
When You Have Kids.
I can have kids.
I'm going to try my best to get through this without crying. This is a shoot. So Christmas morning, actually leading up to Christmas, it was, well, hey, Freya, what do you want to get your mom? And in years past, she would just say random stuff. She'd be like, a green shirt, like a sweatshirt with a tree on it. okay, is there a reason? I think she'll like it. No reason whatsoever. And then we looked at a bunch of different ones, and she picked Yggdrasil on the tree. And I was like, well, hell yeah, let's go Viking City. And, you know, she got a Stanley Cup one year. It's like, get her a cup. It's like, yeah, cool. Purple. All right, done. Got her a Stanley Cup. They had no purple. It's pink, but whatever. So she has one of the Stanley Cups, you know, the one. This year she was like, she's been talking about this hairdryer for 2 years. Every time we go to Costco together, mom wants this hairdryer. She says, points it out. I hardly ever get to go with them. And by get to, I mean have to. I hate going there. But she go through that aisle and pointed out. She listened, she observed, she remembered, and she put thought into this, Tyler. Like, my daughter saw that thing and went, I know mom would want this. This is something that mom wants. We should get this. So yeah, did that mean sacrificing something? Yes, it did, because it's a very expensive thing. The universe has a way of balancing itself out, and I feel really great about our decision. Now, what I didn't know is that she got me something. Okay, so Tyler, this is a Stitch doll that I got from Freya. It's big. It's got a little Velcro butt. There's an on-off switch in here. Now, when I was handed this, I was like, oh, this is really adorable. It's a funny Freya thing to get me. She probably saw this and went like, oh, he knows I like Lilo and Stitch or whatever. So no, the last 2.5 years have been incredibly hard for me in a very personal way, in my sacrifice time with Freya, and feeling like I'm not a good father, or that I'm missing out on her growing up. And I tell her all the time, I miss her. And when they went shopping, I don't know if I'm going to make it through it without crying. When they went shopping, she saw this and saw that when you hug it, it vibrates. It shakes a little bit when it's on. She wanted to buy this for me so that when I miss her, I can hug it and it will be wiggly like her. When I tell you, I'm fighting it right now. When I tell you that I started sobbing on my couch Christmas morning because of how unbelievably thoughtful and beautiful this is, I don't even know how to formulate the words, because I just put her over being thoughtful for Jess. This is maybe the most thoughtful gift anybody's ever given me, ever. And it came from the mind of a 7.5-year-old. I love her. She amazes me every day with what she does, Tyler. And man, I hope you get to experience these kind of moments someday when you have kids. Whew, I am struggling, my friend. I am struggling.
I did not know Kleenex or my puffs, simple softness would be needed this episode, but here we are. That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Shout out to Freya. I am not surprised in the least. She is such a thoughtful kiddo, but I can only imagine there's those two parts of, I got Stitch. That's like, very cool and on brand.
All right, awesome. Yeah.
But then the added element of, wait, no, this isn't just any average one.
Yeah.
You hug it, it wiggles. It be absolutely beautiful. Wow.
Yeah. I've never felt anything quite like that in my life. That was
okay, Freya. Okay.
Yeah, that one gets
best
me.
Best gift giver out here.
Yeah, best gift giver in the world. Now, I know I've gotten kudos for my gift ideas in the past. I had a 2-year run of good gifts, I feel. We got one Tyler McDowell Blanken a wrestling belt as a farewell gift, and a cameo from then TNT champion Darby Allin. And the following year got this righteous axe for one Mr. Carl Siegloff on his farewell journey.
Love that.
I feel really good.
My belt is right next to me.
I also let's go. There you go. Yes, let's go. And with that heavy ass piece of wood holding it up.
Yes.
27 pounds.
It's always here.
Yeah.
27 pounds of gold. Eat your heart out, Tim Storm and Nick Aldis. Or whoever is the
absolutely just ate my lunch with her gift giving skills. She's just such a thoughtful kid. I love her. Now, I'm sure the audience that was here for the wrestling is like, when are you going to talk raps? When are you going to talk World's End? It feels like the world's ending listening to you jabronis talk about the best little kid in the world. But we got to get into AEW World's End. Tyler, let's do this thing. We got to talk pre-show. We got to talk 0 Hour.
That we do. I'm super fired up. So very quickly, pre-show featured 3 matches. 0 Hour Jones. We had Tony Storm, the rookie Tony Storm,
Rookie, yes.
defeating Layla Gray. And I love, well, obviously we love that Tony Storm is back. I also love that Layla Gray is ending 2024 with momentum, not necessarily in the win column, but receiving constant TV time. In the case of 0 Hour, she got a backstage segment with
Kicking
Lexi
off a
Nair.
pay-per-view crowd. That's a big deal.
Yeah. And what I did love as well is that Layla Gray entered to her own theme music this time. So she's an artist outside of the ring. So she has a song called Baddie. This was the first time I recall actually seeing her enter to that theme. We know as recently as I think it was on Rampage, she wasn't given an entrance on TV. So she got an entrance. It was her song. She got backstage time. And although this was a losing effort in about a 7-minute match with Tony Storm, it's great to see her get those reps and branch out from, she said this in the interview with Lexi, branch out from not just being the corner person for Top Flight, but actually making a name as a solo act. She spent time in the New Japan Dojo in LA. Again, she highlighted that, and I think there will be great things in store for her in the new year. So great look. Again, super happy Tony Storm is back. She obviously picked up the win here. After that, Brad, very quickly, Jeff Jarrett defeated QT Marshall. There was also a tease that Jeff Jarrett is going to make an announcement regarding his future this coming week. So we will see what's in store there. Jeff Jarrett looks so good. I hope when I enter my later years, I can be as fit as him. And maybe I'll have a cool guitar that I'll walk around with as well. But he didn't use the guitar this time. No need. Babyface City. Again, he defeated QT Marshall. And then the final match on 0 Hour, it was an 8-man tag. Leo Rush, Action Andretti, and the Murder Machines, the tag team of Lance Archer and Brian Cage, of course, accompanied by Don Callis, defeated the Outrunners and Top Flight. Leo Rush and Action Andretti are facing Private Party on Collision this Saturday for Private Party's AEW tag team titles. So it made a ton of sense for them to pick up the win for Leo and Action to get the pinfall in this scenario. So it was a solid 0 Hour. Again, I really only came for Tony Storm versus Layla Gray.
Same.
But I was happy with how that was executed, and I like that particularly Leo Rush and Action Andretti are also building some momentum heading into the new year. I don't think they're going to dethrone Private Party by any means, but glad to see them receiving a meaningful character shift. And those jackets, you and I have talked about those puffy jackets. I like those very much. Listen, you feel differently, and that's okay. Maybe that will be my gift to you next year. Maybe I'll get in touch with Freya.
Lord. I should not ever wear anything like that. So here, I think it works if they keep it going. I think it'll be all right. I just still don't get them at all. I thought the end of that match was so weird. Like that, like the Lance Archer just standing there going like, what was my win?
You took my pin.
You took my pin.
That was a little
and it was
weird.
just like, it was just awkward. I still can't believe they haven't figured out what to do with Lance Archer or Brian Cage. That feels like an egregious oversight. But I thought this was fun. Anytime we get the Outrunners out there, it's going to be a good time. Leo Rush, Action, and Andretti are awesome. Really the Murder Machines is a great name for that tag team. I love that a ton. And then Top Flight rules. So I'm glad that they got to have a match, even if it was a short one, for tag teams, multiple lots of men, 10 minutes and 50 seconds. I'm glad they got that time. And I'm glad that it led to Tony Storm and Deonna Purrazzo meeting for the first time backstage for a match for the first time ever. That will rule. That match is going to be great. Glad Purrazzo is getting that spot too, because she deserves to be in the spotlight in that company and not just kind of floating in and out of ROH whenever. It's been weird trying to figure out the women's division. It's like they've been picking and choosing who to highlight and then leaving everybody else somewhere else. And it doesn't feel great. And anytime we can get more people on TV, the better. That being said, I'm still holding out hope that we get AEW Dark back now that Rampage is going away. I miss Dark, dude. I can't believe I'm saying that.
I know you do. Well,
because it feels like feels like they get to do house shows and
very valuable
and just have fun rather than having to have it locked into the script of TV, and then they get more time and they can take their time. And it's just, I think that's dope. So I really liked the 0 Hour. I thought it was fun. I thought they had a lot of good interaction on commentary and just talking about what's coming up. I always enjoy watching that. I was glad it was an hour and a half and not 2 hours, but I'm really happy with how that turned out. The first match, though, Tyler, and AEW Worlds, and I know you were excited about the first two in particular. The first match saw Will Ospreay defeat Kyle Fletcher, but not without losing 17 gallons of blood. What'd you think of the match?
Yeah, it was a lot. It really set the tone for the night. Not just that the Continental Classic would be a major focus for the event, but the blood right away.
Right away.
And lots of
lot
it
Oof.
was very unexpected, but I know that played into Will Ospreay's thread or storyline throughout the evening. You and I spoke early and often about the Continental Classic year 2 versus year 1 and the lack of investment that we had. I thought they really landed the plane tonight on, we're recording this the day after. I think they really landed the plane at AEW Worlds End. Will Ospreay versus Kazuchika Okada being the ultimate finals made a ton of sense.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't see that from the beginning.
Either.
This was a great match. Obviously, it's setting up the rubber match between Ospreay and Fletcher. Ospreay beat Fletcher at World's End. Fletcher beat him the month before. Whenever we get that third bout, whether it's in 2025 or after, it's going to be big business for the company. It's may end up being the best of the series. And then the second match here, like you said, Brad, Kazuchika Okada versus Ricochet. Ricochet has really leaned into this heel turn. It seems like just yesterday he was still the superhero we wanted to root for, and the crowd, the crowd has really rebelled against him. And obviously he's been wanting that. So Okada predictably gets the win over Ricochet. I definitely saw that coming. For Ospreay versus Fletcher, I was a little bit more unsure. I really want to hear not only your thoughts on these two matches, because they were great ways to kick off World's End, but also the post-match angle of Ricochet being in the ring. Swerve Strickland comes out. He said, amongst other words, I promised you if you didn't make it to the finals, if you didn't win this thing, I was going to, I don't know if he said embarrassed, but basically like, I'm going to let you know that you didn't do what you said you were going to do. He summons Prince Nana, who has a wheelbarrow?
He's got the little kid collapsible tote.
You know about this.
Yeah, 100%.
The little collapsible tote, rolling it out with rolls and
like
rolls
24
of
roll
toilet
pack.
paper. Hands him out to the crowd. The crowd throws it in the ring, wishing at Swerve's request, wishing Ricochet
with good teaching instructions, I might add. I heard Nana going like, "Please wait for my cue, my friends." Like he just like
not yet.
It was awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Loved
So the crowd was incredibly cooperative at the behest of the one and only Ricochet. So I can't help but think that maybe the Hurt Business is going to play a role in this somehow. The Hurt Syndicate still has beef with Swerve. We know they little broed Ricochet. I still can't believe they did it to him like that. My thought is maybe once Ricochet shows a little bit more grit and a little bit more kick-assery, for lack of a better phrase, maybe he gets recruited into the Hurt Syndicate, and then the war with Swerve Strickland continues. I just know we're going to get Swerve versus Ricochet at some point, which is just going to make me very happy because I think those are two of the best in-ring tacticians. What's the word I was going for there?
I think tacticians.
Tacticians. They're two of the best in-ring talents.
Technicians.
Tactician. Okay.
Well, one
you get
one
what
is
I'm putting out
strategy,
there.
and one is
They're both just very
science.
They're both just very, very good at what they do.
Yeah, there you go.
And I can't wait
Embrace
to
the mess.
see. I can't wait to see this rivalry, and I wonder where the Hurt Syndicate falls into this, if at all, because they have recent history with both of these guys that I would argue are definitely unfinished. So, long way of saying, Brad Winchester, great way to kick off the show. It should have been clear all along that we were going to get Ospreay versus Okada. These two matches ruled, and I'm excited to see what's next, particularly for Ricochet and Swerve.
I loved the post-match angle, not just of Ricochet and Swerve and the toilet paper. I'm with you. I think it's going to have to come back to the Hurt Syndicate. That's that story that's just sitting there waiting, and I'm excited to see. But I also loved, one of my favorite parts of the show was Will Ospreay's promo before the Okada match. grabbing the camera. I would have run through a wall at that moment. He got me up, excited. The crowd was going nuts for it. Crimson Mask Jones, like, it was amazing.
It was a lot.
It was a lot, but to go like, let's effing go.
Yeah. In the words of Tony Khan. Yeah.
And then rolling right into MJF mother bleeping everybody later on, because it was between the Mariah May and the MJF match that promo was, I believe, because it was like, I just remember like lots of swearing back to back to back. It could have been when I accidentally fell asleep too. I was in the bedroom, the only place I could watch, Tyler. I'm not going to tell you when I fell asleep because I don't want to make it sound like I was bored. I was not. I was real tired and very cold. And I got in those covers in a dark room watching this pay-per-view and in the house alone under a heated blanket. It killed me. Like, it knocked me right out. I was just like fighting for my life. And when I finally came to, I stood up and I was like, all right, we're good. I'm going to go get some candy, shovel it into my face. I made some bread, had some bread, like went off. I think that I'm scared because AEW is loaded. We know this. But let's rattle them off right now, okay? We got the Hurt Syndicate. We got whatever House of Black is. Now we have Undisputed Kingdom reunited, full power Undisputed Kingdom. We got the Death Riders. We got the Don Callis family. There's probably other factions that I'm forgetting about right now. That's 5 different factions that all have 5 different goals. And what I imagine will happen out of this is there will be a 6th to rise up against the Death Riders, to rise up against whatever, because most of the factions are heel factions. Like Undisputed Kingdom is like, they got booed when they reunited last night.
I was gonna ask your thoughts on that. Yeah.
I think they've just done it too much. I just think they've reunited too many times. Like,
so you're saying not so much sympathy for a beaten down MJF.
Because
then they hugged, and then we got the cheers back once they hugged to end that segment.
Yeah, but it was just like, but we saw them reunite when it was just Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole, and Bobby Fish, and then Roderick Strong showed up, and we saw them unite, and then they broke up, and then they reunited again, and then they still were broken up, but then they reunited again. So they've reunited in different ways over and over and over again. And I hope this is the last one. It needs to stop and just leave it there, because you take it being special away from that, because it doesn't feel that long ago that they did this, even though it was probably 2 or 3 years ago. It doesn't feel that long. If you're going to have a big messy breakup reuniting. So the point is, talking about the match that's way later in the card. I don't know where all of these storylines fit within all of these other factions, because some of the factions are the storyline. The Death Riders is a really vanilla storyline right now, and I don't care at all about it. I care about who's going to stop it, so I don't have to see it anymore. And that's where I am with it. And I hate that I'm that negative on it, but I just don't care, because it's not interesting to me. It's just, the only interesting facet is, why are they doing it? But that sucks, because I love all of them that are in it. So
yeah,
here we
why
are.
Are they doing it, and what's in that briefcase?
Yeah, just like, I don't know. Unless it says Shane McMahon on it, that'll bring me back into it. But how does this play out, and what's the point of all of this? You got to give us something. There have been no breadcrumbs. You got to give us a little along the way. Right now, they're just giving us nothing. And it's the same kind of rehashed promo work from Jon Moxley over and over and over again. Oh, you think you're safe, and we don't want to, we want to nobody cares, man. Like, just say something interesting. So he's really good at saying nothing in a way that makes me engaged, but he said nothing too long, and I need something to care. Maybe Ricochet fits into that storyline. Maybe the Hurt Syndicate is like, no, we're here for business, and the Death Riders are not about business. And now you got a babyface Hurt Syndicate with Ricochet in it. Or I don't know. There's so many different.
And the Hurt Syndicate seems to be receiving favorable audience reactions.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Awesome. Ricochet is not right now, which is intentional. And I don't, if they end up joining forces, I wonder, I think there will have to be a shift one way or the other. Either we go back to rooting for Ricochet, or maybe these pieces don't just fit at this time.
But I think they need I think they need a centerpiece for the Hurt Syndicate to work. The Hurt Business worked because Bobby Lashley was obviously the center. He was the champion. He was the dominant force.
He's the guy.
He's the guy. And right now
Benjamin's received the focus, which I love.
Yeah, which is great because his in-ring work is incredible. But as an unstoppable monster, it should be Lashley. We're just getting
who from the group can conceivably become the world champ.
Yes.
There's no disputing it's Lashley.
Yeah, and I think they just need to center around a person right now and give us like this sense of dominance, because right now you got people competing, but they're not dominant, and there's no real reason right now to go like, oh yeah, the Hurt Syndicate is a threat. We know they will be, but we know they will be based on what they did as the Hurt Business, and I want to see more from that, because that is you could feed generations off of this faction, dude. Like, it's my favorite. Yeah. It's my favorite faction.
I love that we're living in a time where the book on the Hurt Syndicate, then the Hurt Business, is not closed. It was the classic case of there is still so much left to do with this group. And luckily the stars aligned and now they're able to finish that story.
Yeah, a lot of promise right now. Love what they're doing. I think Ricochet fits into that. I think that's why they weren't necessarily on the pay-per-view. Because I felt like an oversight, and I saw some other talent were doing things in other promotions this weekend, and that bummed me out a little bit, but I'm really excited for the future. I am glad that Ricochet's finally getting this spotlight, and they're letting him be a character. Even if people are like, his promo work isn't any good, it's like, his promo work was non-existent. Give him some time.
And I'm sure Swerve is going to play into that in the coming weeks as this rivalry likely blossoms. The great tacticians they are. I'm sure it's going to blossom, and Swerve's going to point that out. Right? Like,
Swerve grew a ton going to AEW too. With his promo work. He's super confident.
He's
now.
been one of the most successful signings in company history.
In wrestling,
we keep going back to Swerve and Tony Storm. They were the two biggest dubs of WWE to AEW that glow up. To me, undeniably, Swerve and Tony are those two. 2024 solidified that.
When those contracts are up, they're going to get truckloads of money thrown their way to see
as
if
they should.
And they
I know Swerve resigned, and whenever Tony,
I don't know that they will. I think they're happy where they are, and they're happy being able to do stuff, because like, I don't know that the Storm Zero is going to happen over in WWE, just because they're protecting people. Like, every time there's a pile driver over there, it's like death. So we got like 3 or 4 in a match last night, or 2 nights ago. I
can't wait to talk about it. One in particular.
Speaking of pile drivers, we got Mariah May defeating Thunder Rosa. This was a Tijuana street fight. I believe Thunder Rosa's first loss in a street fight in AEW, or at least a Tijuana street fight. I thought this was a ton of fun, man. Like that drop kick off of the ramp table from Thunder Rosa into Mariah May was classic Thunder Rosa dropkick. Also, she's a lunatic.
Yes,
I tweeted that out.
Okay.
Skeeted that out. It was on Blue Sky.
Nice. Great reaction from the audience as well.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was a lot of fun, man. Like the tax, disgusting that one of them was embedded in Thunder Rosa's skull, but
they were released from the piñata.
Yeah, that popped me huge. I thought that was awesome. That was awesome.
I'm sure they had a blast when they were putting this match together.
Oh, I'm sure. And I thought the finish of it made sense. That looked like she might have been dead. Like, I'm not convinced that Thunder Rosa is even alive right now. Yeah. The pile driver from the apron through that table, and that table kind of disintegrated. I'm sure it was fine, but it looked like she went straight on her head. The way they shot it and the table collapsed in on itself, it's like, yeah, she's dead.
There was lots of good camera work on this show.
I thought so as well. I really liked this match, man. I had high expectations for it. I wish they wouldn't have gone street fight. I wish it would have been just a match, because Thunder Rosa and Mariah May in a regular match would have been probably insane. But I kind of like that it was a street fight just to change it up, because we didn't have another one of those on this show. So I thought this was cool. I thought they gave him 13 minutes. So I thought it was a lot of fun. Mariah May won, and I don't know who the next opponent is, but I don't know what's next for Thunder Rosa either. But I'm compelled, and I can't wait to see more. Love both of them. Tyler, MJF, Adam Cole, Dynamite Diamond Ring. MJF retains his Dynamite Diamond Ring for a 6th straight year. What'd you think?
I enjoyed Thunder Rosa versus Mariah May more. This storyline, somehow MJF versus Adam Cole was the match I was least looking forward to on this
Same.
card,
Me too.
which just feels blasphemous
Mhm.
to even say, given how talented both of these guys are. And let's not forget, Brad, this was the match that main evented the original All In,
Yeah.
AEW's largest show ever.
Yeah.
And here we are, and I just wasn't super excited about it. The match itself was fine. I'm kind of over the fighting for the Dynamite Diamond ring. I just, it doesn't really do anything for me. I was actually shocked that Matt Taven and Mike Bennett did not
Yeah.
turn against Adam
Yeah. We texted
Cole.
each other. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was just a layup. That was definitely going to happen. And maybe it's forthcoming, but it did not occur in Orlando. Yeah, the match was fine. These guys are pros. And we obviously talked about the post-match when you got the return of Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong and seemingly reuniting Undisputed Era. They could be a force to be reckoned with in the trios division in 2025. So excited for what could come for this. I'm really eager to see what's next for MJF.
Right.
If he's not going to be in the immediate world title picture for at least Q1 and Q2 of the new year, I wonder where he goes. So I'm keeping an eye on that. But I enjoyed Mariah v. Thunder more than this particular match. I'm so glad there were only 8 matches on this card.
Yeah.
2 of which were women's matches. There were so many
Yep.
fundamental pieces of this show that made it successful and made it enjoyable for me. So even though the MJF versus Adam Cole rivalry left a lot to be desired, I hope, in my viewing opinion, I hope that this is the last match for these two guys. I do think it's become a bit of a crutch for MJF to win these blood rivalries, but then get beat up after the match. You'll recall that earlier this year, we saw this exact scenario play out with Daniel Garcia. MJF beat
Yeah.
DG,
Right.
but then DG got his comeuppance on MJF after the match. So MJF is protected by getting the dub because he's one of the foundational pieces of the company, but the babyface is going to get his licks in after the match. So that felt like a retread that I think we need to space it out a little bit more if we're going to
Right.
do that exact formula. But the match itself was well worked. I just don't know that I want to see the rivalry continue in the new year. I think both guys would be better served by going in different directions.
It felt like that's what's happening though, right? Like he gave
I
him
sure hope so.
He tossed the ring down and was like,
He did.
whatever.
Yeah.
We got this now. So I
I
don't
also
care
had
about you.
I had no doubt that MJF was gonna win.
Yeah.
He's undefeated. He's gonna keep the Dynamite Diamond ring. That also played into my enjoyment. Is at no point did I fear or even consider Adam Cole getting the dub.
I also really enjoy these matches with MJF. It's never a question of is he going to cheat? It's how is he going to pull it off? And I really enjoy that element, that little
He's so
added
good.
element. It's so
And the
creative.
pop to the crowd where he does something dastardly, and then he gets on the rope and he does,
Yeah.
raising the arms out,
Yeah.
and that all works for me.
Me too. It's so fun.
I thoroughly enjoy him as a performer, even if this particular rivalry wasn't pushing the right buttons for me.
The Heat Seeker,
The
like
Heat
all of it
Seeker,
was
getting
was
the
all
win
fun.
with the Heat Seeker
Yes.
as well.
Well, I mean,
Right.
if you're going to call something the Heat Seeker, you better win
It
with
looks vicious.
Yes, it looks dreadful. Like, yes.
It should have always been a finisher.
Yeah, 100%. So I was thinking about this whole thing and I brought it up maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, about how it reminded me of the tournament pay-per-view that WWF then did a long time ago with Randy Savage, and where they had a whole tournament for the show. And they had some matches interspersed within that, including, I believe like a Hogan defense, because I'm sure it was Hogan defense. Like I didn't even have to look it up to know that it was probably Hogan. Hulk Hogan defeated Roddy Piper by DQ. Yes, it was when they were doing the Hogan Piper I refuse to lose stuff. It was called the Wrestling Classic, Tyler. And I don't know if you ever caught it. It is a bit of a grind of a pay-per-view to get through, but it was November 7th, 1985. WWF, the Wrestling Classic. I know it's on the WWE cock, and you can watch it. It is when Randy Savage in the second round wrestled Ricky Steamboat. I think before their like huge thing. It might be after, but I thought it was before their huge rivalry or the Steamboat Savage match. But it was a 4-minute match. It was fun, and ultimately Junkyard Dog defeated Randy Savage in it. But the Continental Classic, I don't know if that was an intentional thing, because calling tournaments classics, it makes sense. But the Wrestling Classic, the Continental Classic, feel similar in that we got two tournament matches to decide who would fight in the final on the same card. I thought that was really cool. And it feels like a shout out to that 1985 programming. And I'm sure it's happened before, and I don't know about it because I'm not that well versed in like old NWA, AWA stuff. But I just love the setup for this show, because within this tournament, we have all these other stories and all these other moments. Adam Cole MJF. It's not that I didn't like it. It's that I just saw it before and I don't need to see it again. And I'm just glad that I hope that this was it and they can move on and do other things, because both of them deserve it. Our next match, though, we needed a big meaty men slap and meat match on this card, and we got one big time. I loved this. It was short. It wasn't my favorite match by any stretch, but holy hell was this needed. Konosuke Takeshita, of course, retained, defeated Powerhouse Hobbs. I don't think either of us thought that Takeshita was going to drop here, but so excited that Hobbs got to be on this card after being injured for so long. My God, was this a powerhouse match? That superplex, whew, sheesh. I felt that. Tyler, what'd you think about this?
I love the "please be careful" chants
Yeah.
from Orlando.
Yeah.
See, we're not
So
complete
good.
savages. We're not complete
Yeah.
heathens. We have a heart, and we care about these amazing performers. Shout out to the crowd at UCF for that. This was actually one of my favorite matches of the night. More on that during our next conversation.
Definitely.
This, I cannot wait. I actually went to bed excited about the conversation we're going to have with Mercedes and Kris Stat. More on that soon. One of my favorite matches of the night, Takeshita defeating Hobbs. I actually bit on a few of those near falls, Brad.
Same.
I started my viewing of this match thinking, okay, no, of course, Takeshita for sure should retain and will retain. But there were some near falls that really got me.
This match started the next couple of matches of getting the audience to bite.
Yes.
There were so many near falls.
Yeah, I'm so happy that Hobbs
so great.
was placed in this position, and he really delivered, and in my opinion has really shown his range, like any great wrestler, where you can be that vicious heel, but you can also be that sympathetic babyface we're rooting for. And I would imagine for someone like him who's just so massive, that can probably be a really challenging task. But obviously they played into, the leg injury and the spots these guys pulled off and the crowd chanting meat right away. This is something unique that AEW should really invest in, is that meat, that sirloin division. I don't know that we need another championship specifically for the meaty performers, if you will, but it's something AEW...
Make it a super heavyweight belt.
Yeah, it's something AEW has done well, and clearly the crowd has invested in. I remember, I wish I remembered the pay-per-view itself, but remember when we had like Miro versus Lance Archer versus Wardlow?
Every hit was
maybe
meat.
Versus Hobbs. Yeah. I hope they really lean into that, because this match, it was so promising. So happy Takeshita has gold right now. These guys were fantastic, and I want to see more of it. I would love to see Will Hobbs with gold at some point. He's really proven that he's not just a tag or a trios wrestler. He really is a solo star.
I wouldn't hate him taking it from Danny.
Wow, sure. Yeah. Would you have Hobbs going in as the bad guy there, or DG shifting?
Maybe.
Or does it not matter?
Maybe shades of gray. Like, I just want it. You're in my way. I want to start with this. And then maybe that's a way a heel Wardlow comes back to face down Hobbs. Maybe that's what happens. I don't know.
We could,
so many possibilities, dude.
We could really benefit from a second Hobbs TNT title run. But Brad, if he left Orlando with gold, I wouldn't have been mad either. This was a great
Maybe he goes after Okada.
We got to talk about Okada later.
Yeah.
I love this match. Again, one of my favorites on the card. Kudos to both these dudes. They absolutely killed it. And I'm glad they didn't kill each other, because I was worried on a few of those spots. Great match. Want to see it again at some point.
Speaking of being worried on a couple of those spots, our next match. Whew. Wow. When Mercedes got Kris up, I thought Kris was dead. That match, I don't even know what to say. Mercedes Mone retained over Kris Statlander, but Kris Statlander stayed in the ring and got a standing ovation, and it was deserved. These women put on an all-time banger in that ring. It is one of my favorite matches of the year, Tyler. And I don't even know if it was my favorite match of the night. And that's saying something. Like it is crazy that I have choices. I'm filibustering, of course, as you reach down or reach up to grab your fig. I'm sure that's what's happening here. Because I know you got props. I got Kris up behind me next to the belt. I don't know if she's on the camera. I can't see myself right now. But I'm just
so excited about this match. I don't know what to do with myself.
Me either. My thoughts are all over the place. They had us 50, 60, 70 different near falls, and they were all believable, every single one of them, because the crowd wasn't super into it to start with. Like, they were cheering and they're like, yeah, politely, like, yeah, we love these ladies, but we're tired. We just saw the meat match. And then suddenly by the end of this, that place was going nuts. This match effing ruled, man. Like, I don't even know what else to say. It's, I got nothing. I'm going to throw it to you because I'm just stammering over here.
I agree. So enter it. Okay, I have many thoughts, which hopefully I will deliver all with a concise and great approach here. Brad Winchester entering this match. I already knew Worlds End 2024 greater than sign Worlds End 2023.
Yeah, you said that about halfway through. I
certainly did. But by the end of this match, there was just no question. Listen, man, I saw the tweets when I was on X earlier this year. People were talking spicy about Mercedes. I know the Brit match at All In. Perhaps the execution left a bit to be desired, or a lot to be desired. I don't know that people are completely wrong in feeling that way, but people were talking real spicy earlier this year. Big year for Mercedes. She signs with the company. Big business. She has the whole special in Boston dedicated to her arrival. And some of the matches since then have hit. Some of the rivalries have not. The opinions about her time in AEW have really spanned kind of all dimensions.
Yeah.
After this match, there is no doubt that Mercedes is her. This is one of my favorite matches of the year. Yeah. And there's a case to be made that this is the greatest match in the women's division in AEW history. Kris Statlander was phenomenal. It's also helpful when you have a great dance partner like Kris. They went out for about 25 minutes and delivered an instant classic. Mm-hmm. Mind you, Brad, 2 other Mercedes matches this year, Stat versus Mercedes 1 at Full Gear. And let's not forget Mercedes versus Willow for the TBS title at Double or Nothing when Mercedes became champ. That was also an incredible match. So all those years ago, when you found the Sasha Banks fig at Walgreens in Marana, which I still hold dear, huge sentimental value. All these years later, the artist formerly known as Sasha Banks, now Mercedes Mone, our CEO, just reminded us, no, like, I'm the blueprint for a reason. She is fantastic. When she put out that mission statement of I'm here to elevate the division and I'm here to just get everything I'm coming for and then some, this match was the encapsulation of that. In 2025, I need a women's match to main event a pay-per-view. It is long overdue in AEW, and you have the star, you have the champion to get this done. She reminded us of this at World's End in Orlando over the weekend. If it's Stat versus Mercedes Part 3, if it's Mercedes versus Willow, if it's Mercedes versus Willow versus Stat, Brad, whatever the formula is, that has to happen in 2025. This blew my mind. My favorite part of the match, I think this was following the Tombstone pile driver you alluded to, which, by the way, if you would have told me Mercedes, Tombstone pile drive, and Kris instead of vice versa, I don't know if I would have believed you. Crazy. But she hits Kris Statlander with the Tombstone on the apron, and it seems like Kris Stat is going to get counted out. And the way, this goes back to our conversation about the camera work on this show, the way they shot
so good,
that 9 count. I want to say, was it Stephon Smith that was reffing this match? I don't think it was. It
wasn't Aubrey.
It was not Aubrey. I think it was Stephon.
Yeah.
The way that they shot
celebratory Mercedes.
8,
I won.
9. Mercedes puts up I did it. I defeated her. She's in my past now. She's in my rear view. They focus on Mercedes so that we don't see Kris Statlander entering the ring before the 10 count. It was fantastic. I have so much euphoria thinking about this match. I will definitely have to run it back at some point. Brad, this is going to go in the pantheon of AEW, and I think the ramifications of this. Obviously, I want Kris Statlander to be a champion again at some point. I don't know what her next move is. It seems like maybe a reconciliation with Willow Nightingale is in the works. But what I believe to be the ramifications following this match of us getting closer to a women's match main eventing a PAPE leaves me with so much hope. This was incredible. It's one of my favorite matches of the year, and I think it's going to go down as the best women's match in the 5-year history of AEW. The best.
I can't think of a single match that I would disagree with you on in terms of a wrestling match. Most important, no, but Britt and Thunder Rosa was huge. Britt winning was huge. That like death match with Anna Jay and Ty Conti and Penelope Ford and Bunny is still one of my favorite matches of all time. And I think it was wasn't it on Rampage?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I'm also thinking about Full Gear 2023, Julia Hart versus Sky Blue versus Kris Statlander.
Yeah, also awesome.
That's also a great match. This to me, this was just on another level.
This was next level.
This
This
was
was
on another level.
Tony Storm and Hikaru Shida was one of my favorite matches ever.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That was on Dynamite.
Fantastic.
And this, I put this one above it. As far as a pay-per-view goes, I think, shout out to Kate at Fightful. I'm pretty sure this is where I saw it. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure this is where I saw it. It might have been Kylie. I'm not sure. But this was the longest women's match on a pay-per-view for AEW by almost 5 minutes at 24 and a half minutes long.
Longest match on the show. That's a big deal.
Longest match on the show was the women's match, and it wasn't even for the main women's title. It was the TBS championship.
That's another conversation.
Yeah, but
That's maybe another conversation. Yeah,
but
I'm not mad at it for tonight.
Totally not. I actually love it. The TBS championship gives more flexibility for Mercedes to defend it in other places versus the women's championship, which is like, yeah, you shouldn't be defending that over in New Japan unless it's at this, Wrestle Kingdom, then go for it. But if it's at, that I can't remember what the name of the one they usually do over in San Diego after Wrestle Kingdom. Then yeah, I could see them doing that Stardom thing over there.
It's Battle in the Valley.
That sounds right. Yeah. Where I think she wrestled Kairi Sane for her first match back out of WWE and won the title. It was, I believe I watched that actually live and lost a lot of sleep over it. Listen, I have to say enough about this match because we need to move on. The next match was, for me, man, after talking through it, I don't know if it's my favorite match of the night, but it's one of the greatest matches ever in Worlds End status. It's certainly my favorite Continental Classic match of all time. That was Will Ospreay and Kazuchika Okada. So for the past couple of weeks, including New Japan, and I can't remember who it is. I could see their face and I can't remember who it is, did a kind of an interview talking about how Okada has become this wrestler that just swears and does silly jokes and is kind of a joke in AEW and has become an afterthought. Tyler Okada let everybody know. He let him know. Like, this was one of the best matches I've seen AEW produce. It's the closest thing to, and obviously both guys worked there for so long, to a New Japan banger that I've seen in AEW. And to end that with Okada, I guess you can't really say winning the Continental Classic again, retaining that title, but winning the tournament once again, and have it presented by a returning EVP in Kenny Omega, making a very big deal of the All In Texas shot behind them, which is alluding to the fact that they're probably going to be wrestling then. I wonder if that's just to get Kenny healthy, get him clear to set it up. But, Okada was smiling in the ring at Kenny returning. He was probably just being a fan at that moment, forgetting that, you all turned on him. You kicked him out. and you made him not be an EVP, and you were part of that. This is partially your fault. He has no reason to be happy about you winning anything. He probably wants to beat your ass out back and can't right now. And I love that that's coming out of this, that Kenny's back, that we don't know what it's going to mean if Matt and Nick Jackson, who are wrestling in New Japan right now, just wrestled, I believe, last night, this morning, however that works. They'll be back soon, I'm sure, too. Maybe this is the way they take on the Death Riders, but they got to reunite and they got to make up. And I just don't see that happening right away because all of that fell apart. I'm intrigued. Ospreay's pretty bulletproof in AEW, but he has taken a lot of L's lately. And I don't know what's next for him, but I loved this match so much. There were so many moments in this where, again, third match in a row where I was like, oh, he won. No, he didn't. Oh, he won. No, he didn't. Back and forth and back and forth. And that ending sequence, Tyler, is one of the greatest ending sequences to any match ever.
Otherworldly. Just, it's art. It really
art.
is.
Totally. So for people that are like, I don't like pro wrestling, I don't know why.
Just play that 90 seconds for them.
And if you're like, it looks like they're dancing and then they go and watch like a musical, like I don't understand you people.
We just need to give them the tape of these 3 matches back to back to back.
Yeah.
All different, but
Yeah.
all speak to why we love wrestling. And I think AEW's aura, if you will, is leaning into, we are the only company that can give you these types of matches.
Yeah.
Right. The meat division we talked about.
Truly where the best wrestle, right? Like,
right. Mercedes
focused on the wrestling.
Mercedes and Kris just being, just you have free reign over what you want to do, create art, go. And to me, it was giving, dare I say, Sasha Banks versus Bayley takeover Brooklyn vibes, where I just saw 2 artists go to work who probably had a blast crafting this.
Yeah. Took
chances, did things I hadn't seen in the company before in the women's division. Can't say enough great things about Stat versus Mercedes once again. And again, Kris Statlander, what a 2024. Her putting people on notice.
It's surprising.
I am as good as anyone here.
That she had
will be a future
party.
champion.
It's wild to say that it was her year to come out. Like that was
She's incredible.
She's been incredible, and it's just like we finally got to see her ditching the alien gimmick and going into this.
Yes,
is the single best maneuver she ever made.
Yes, you and I both have the alien action
badass.
Figure.
Yeah,
lots of affinity for it. But where we're at now, more than a woman, whatever that evolves or
and she she return in like a gumball machine?
Yeah,
when she came back.
Yeah, that was a crazy time
around the Miro time.
Yeah. That was a crazy time.
Yeah,
I just don't know. I'm having secondhand regret of not giving her as many props as I should have, because I wanted to make sure I used my Mercedes prop. Thank you for that figure. Thank you, Walgreens.
Man.
Thank you, Brad. Kris Statlander, incredible. But this really, to me, underscores not only how awesome of a show Worlds End 24 was, but these 3 matches for me really encapsulate what AEW does well, and hopefully we see more of with even more consistency in the new year, because I don't know that any other company is going to put on Takeshita versus Hobbs, Mercedes versus Kris in a broad way. And then to your point, Brad, Will Ospreay versus Kazuchika Okada in that ending sequence. Granted, I'm not as hip to their New Japan history as others, but that ending
it's as good as you think.
It's as good as
as
any ending sequence I've seen all year, maybe even in my time watching wrestling. It's just otherworldly.
I'm waiting for the day that we get a fatal 4-way between Okada and Kenny and Ospreay, and a single shot off of a Bryan Danielson. Like
that's a rare single match pay-per-view, $49.99. I may gladly pay for that.
I'd pay the 2 show price on Triller for that one match. Just have a fatal 4-way Iron Man match between those 4. I would pay $1 million for that. I would sacrifice animals to that. I would do whatever I needed to do to watch that. I would not do whatever I needed to do to watch the main event, though, Tyler. This was a dynamite ending to me. This entire match, the entire sequence, the return. I did not have a good time. I thought there was some fun moments. I'm glad Marina Shafir got involved. It just felt like, oh, wow. If I would have closed my eyes or walked away and came back to the end, I would have just assumed I'm watching the end of Full Gear. Like the only difference was FTR and Copeland came out at the end. Otherwise, this has been the same formula. We're going to beat the piss out of the baby faces. We're all going to get involved and interfere with the match and let Jon Moxley retain. And then we're all going to like go in there with a chair. It's going to get interrupted. And then we're just going to all leave. And then the end. And that's essentially what happened. But also we had the intervention of Rated FTR, which was cool. Unexpected. I had a feeling that Copeland would be returning soon, but it was unexpected that it was then. I thought that was great. And as soon as he got a microphone, I got worried because the last time it was balls talk. And then this time it was pubes talk. And I just felt like it was a giantly unnecessary thing. And going like, I'm old as your motivating factor felt weird. I think he was going for I'm experienced, but going like, you were growing pubes when I started doing this. So I was like, so I should take you more seriously that you're thinking about his pubic hair? I don't understand what. So it just felt like I need to say something moment, and then it was kind of unplanned. And then the mic didn't work, and it was just
it took off some momentum for sure.
Yeah, it's just like I would have liked to have just ended in silence, them staring down each other if they were going to do that, to go like, all right, they're giving us a teaser. But then he got on the mic and it was like, it felt like a verbal equivalent of when the pyro didn't go off at the end of Kenny and Moxley when Eddie ran out to save Mox. And all we got was sparkles instead of an explosion.
Barbed wire death.
It still makes me so sad.
That was a tough one.
But we got those vignettes with Eddie and Moxley after that. So that made it all worthwhile. But it was given a verbal version of that where we all went,
It's true. But you're so right. If they would have ended the show at the stare down with the crowd chants, and that in hindsight would have been more effective than
because like
Cope on the third mic.
Because people were excited FTR showed up, and when they stopped down the ramp, I was like, "Ooh, who'd they bring?" And then it was the Rated FTR popped up before the You Think You Know Me.
What did you think of that reveal? As one of the biggest FTR fans I know, how are we feeling about Rated FTR? Not shocking that this is a new trio, but the first time seeing them, they have the shirts, they have the new logo. Are we bought in?
Oh, 100% bought in. I think it's awesome. I think those guys work super well together because
they clearly have a huge affinity for each other off screen.
Yeah. Cash and Dax, well, they're all neighbors, right? Like real life shoot neighbors.
Sorry for the
they hang out with each other. Like they were both
shout out Nashville.
Yeah, they were both trying. I shouldn't say both. All three of them were trying to help Asheville after the aftermath of the hurricane and like
really cool.
do a real good real life work. And by all accounts are great people. I say that knowing that Cash got arrested a few years ago, but I also say that knowing Cash took flight last night. I was shocked to see that man, how well he was fired up. Those ropes. Yeah,
he was fired up. He's tired of the Death Riders, just like we are.
I thought he was going to go through there like a lead balloon, and that dude floated through like a paper airplane and shot through the ropes.
He's sneaky. He's sneaky athletic. Sneaky. Got some springs.
If I would have seen Dax do that, I would have been like, oh, he's gonna hook his toes and die on the floor. I just want to see Dax go in there and throw punches because I love watching that dude work. Those guys are my favorite tag team still. I think they'll go down as my favorite tag team. I love Copeland. I think they're a perfect combination for each other. Those guys are old school, and Copeland is from old school. So he's been working long enough where he was still working when the guys that I feel FTR modeled themselves after were just retiring, and Adam Copeland was just coming up in that era. So there's so many similarities there that I think this is going to work really well. We've talked so many times about balls and just junk references being so unnecessary that it was just really disappointing to hear that, because like the last words that echoed through time on that pay-per-view were pubes. It was really disappointing. It could have been so much better. I would have liked to have seen it in silence and just have like the crazy, like the Adam Copeland heavy breathing crazy eyes staring at people would have been awesome. But that spear was cool.
The spear was great.
Yeah.
The spear had some stank on it.
Yeah, sure did.
This was a fun show. This was to me, Brad, overall, this was a win for AEW. And as a fan, the kind of stink that the World's End title had for me coming off of last year's very odd show in hindsight. This really, I'm leaning into the pun here, but it really restored the feeling, and
Yeah.
it built toward Wednesday on Fight for the Fallen Dynamite, the mother of all simulcasts. Really big
Can't
deal.
wait.
I'm excited I don't have to stay up to watch AEW moving forward. This is a big deal for me. Thank you. Saturday with Collision already highlighting some of the matches we're going to see. Overall, there was a lot to love about the show. And once again, Brad, those 3 matches. Oh my goodness.
That might be the best sequence of 3 straight matches.
For real, put it up against
Yeah.
anything. Isn't wrestling the coolest? I left the show feeling that way, and I think we were able to witness matches that, particularly in the case of the TBS title match, that we're going to talk about a year, 2 years, maybe even longer from now. Really strong show with some epic performances from incredibly talented wrestlers.
Yeah, I have nothing to add, man. Like it's maybe my favorite AEW show of the year. With those 3 matches on it, because there might have been more consistent shows. I can't even remember all of them this year. I'd have to go back and look. I know normally we talk about our favorite pay-per-view of the year and stuff like that. Make sure you check out our year-end awards if you haven't, because we don't talk about that necessarily. We talk about other things, and we have our special guest Rob Wilkins of Fightful, and had a lot of fun having him on there. But the pay-per-views themselves, this is, man, I loved this. There were some WWE things that I would put up there with it, but I don't think anything touched those 3 matches in a row. I just don't think anything was close.
And the formula,
Sequentially.
my last thought, yeah, absolutely. My last thought on the show is, again, the formula of shortening it to 8 matches. And granted, the C2 took up a lot of space. It was nearly half the card, but capping it at 8 matches for the main card, again, at least 2 of which being women's matches, it's something that is necessary. Particularly for my enjoyment of the show, it is needed. So a lot of the formula was successful here, and I just had a really good time watching this show. To me, it was a vast improvement over Full Gear, and it really built toward not only the seminal week for the company, but some really important storylines for 2025. You mentioned it with Kenny Omega returning. Again, we spoke about it with Kris Statlander cementing herself as a face of the company, not just the women's division. There was a lot to really like. And final point, Brett, to go on what you said earlier about what's next for Ospreay. I don't know, but I stand by my statement. He is going to be fine. Obviously, he's taken a lot of losses, which has been jarring, but I'm going to stand by my prediction heading into the show. I don't think he holds another title until he becomes world champ. I don't think we're going to see him in the Continental picture. I don't think we're seeing him in TNT. I don't think we're seeing trios, since Kyle Fletcher is full dastardly now, since he transitioned to Speedos. I think he is going to be AEW world champ by this time next year. Yeah, like clearly he's not going to reunite with Fletcher and Davis. I don't think he's TNT bound. I don't think he's Continental bound. To me, it's so clear. Okay, that's kind of weird that he's taken so many losses, but like you said, he's bulletproof. And I really think by this time next year, December 2025, Ospreay is going to be the guy. He's going to be holding the main championship on the men's side.
Yeah, I have nothing to add there. Now, Tyler, before World's End happened, I watched some Christmas movies. I watched some Disney specials, and one of them was Disney Parks 2024 parade. Alfonso Ribeiro and some lady I don't care about were hosting, and it was pretty awesome. And they would intersperse some interviews and some performances and stuff. And what I caught was, "Hey everybody, my name's Joey. I'm the Bachelor." And I went, "Oh, I got to tell Tyler." I totally forgot, by the way. I got to tell Tyler he's on here. Got a great John Legend performance and a bunch of other great performances on the show. I think you might actually like it. It's a little bit, let's shill our product. But when I saw Joey pop up, I was like, this is dope. This is really cool, because I know what's coming, Tyler. It's time for another edition of A Rose from Tyler. So play the music.
And now, for a rose from GI's most eligible bachelor.
Well, let me start by saying I appreciate that excellent lead-in. That was one of them ones. Yeah, I did not see that, but I think Joey may have even won Dancing with the Stars. So the dude, the dude is thriving. And speaking of which, Brad, yeah, it's time. Season 29 of The Bachelor is on the horizon. In fact, the first trailer for Grant Ellis's season dropped. You may recall Grant is a 30-year-old day trader from Houston. He was on Jen Tran's season. I want to say
Maybe
he
it was
made
Grant.
Maybe it was Grant. He made top
Joey?
5, top 6 for Jen.
Was Joey last season?
Yeah, Joey was the Bachelor
Oh, yeah.
before.
And
Yeah.
it was definitely Grant.
Jen was on Joey's season.
Yeah.
She was not picked. Grant was on Jen's season.
That's right. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah, we're good. Yeah, we
all
got
caught
you. We're all caught up.
This is why you have this segment.
This is very much why I have this segment. So Grant, total babyface, fan favorite on Jen's season, and was just the obvious pick to become Bachelor. So again, this trailer dropped. It's about 2 minutes in length. If you follow us on X and on Instagram, you saw that we shared the news. We spread the announcement of this drop. So Brad, it's important to remember Grant is the second Black Bachelor ever. The Matt James season is well known, not for the best reasons. The Batch brass kind of fumbled the whole rollout and the subsequent conversations about Matt James's season. That could be its own separate GI, so we won't go fully into that. So this is really important. There's a lot at stake on January 27th when the debut of season 29 drops. We learned a few facts from this trailer. First, Grant is handsome. Second, Grant likes basketball. And third, Brad, Grant loves to sing. It's a little bit much. There's a lot of him singing, a lot of him playing the piano. And I even went through a phase where I was trying to learn the piano and learn John Legend. It was a whole thing in my past. But this is clear about Grant. Basketball, singing, seems like a solid dude. Final tips for you, or final intel. There's a basketball date featured in this trailer. Very on brand. Very excited for this.
Good for 19 Media Group.
Very good for 19 Media. We will talk about 19 Media soon. There are brewing rivalries among some of the women of the season, and Grant appears to be conflicted by the final, or at the final rose ceremony of the season. He's at a tropical location, so very much paint by numbers for Batch, and he must decide who he will propose to, assuming he proposes at all. There's going to be high drama. There's going to be lots of, again, Grant singing. I can't emphasize that enough. He doesn't seem terrible. It's just like, it's very light-skinned of him to be into singing and want to make sure to focus on that. So I don't know if he has a SoundCloud or if he's on Apple Music, but there's a lot to like about Grant Ellis, and I am fully locked in. Once the cast bios are released, you know we will have you covered. Once again, season 29 of The Bachelor premieres on Monday, January 27th.
Well, we're this deep into it, Tyler. Let's get into some WWE talk. We'll try to keep it brief for those of you that have made it through this marathon. Thank you for sticking with us, Tyler. What's your question?
Yeah. I will truly keep this one concise. I promise. Okay, WWE. Stephanie Vaquer defeated Cora Jade. Eddie Thorpe was added to the New Year's Eve title match against Obafemi and Trick Williams, probably to take the pin. And Carmelo Hayes versus Sami Zayn ended in a no contest to close SmackDown. However, I want to ask you about an update to next week's Raw debut on Netflix. You may have heard about it.
Sheesh.
Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan is officially a last woman standing match. Two-part question. One, are you certain that Rhea is leaving LA as champ? Two, as the biggest Rhea Ripley fan I know, how would you assess her 2024?
She had a really good 2024. I mean, great even, but from a character standpoint, she just had like a bunch of random little injuries that prevented her from wrestling more. And she still got out there with like a broken face and just, I don't even know what to say there. I just can't remember what happened when. We were talking yesterday about how wrestling in time, it's like, well, what started when and what, no clue what's going on with all of that. I think she's had a great 2024. I don't think she's had as great a 2024 as Liv Morgan, who really had a good one this year, being just a terrible bad guy that everybody cheers against now that she's with Dirty Dom. And I think that helped Rhea a ton, and she didn't need help. She's just awesome. I think she's having a great year. I would put it up there with an incredible year in terms of her having a chance at winning this in a last woman standing match. Liv's got Raquel and probably Dirty Dom, and Rhea's got Damian Priest, kind of, and then the hope that somebody might show up. Maybe we get Bianca out there. Maybe we get, I don't know, who would come to her aid. The only person I can think of right now would be maybe a returning Charlotte Flair to get involved to stop Raquel. I would love to see Charlotte and Raquel mix it up, because I don't think we've seen that yet. We've seen Charlotte and Rhea, but we haven't seen the other Haas Fest. So I would love to see that. It's such a good question. I don't really know how to answer it right now, because I'm just thinking about how many things have happened this year. But Rhea, at the very least, has maintained or even grown her momentum, and her fan base is really locked in to a point now where I feel like she's kind of bulletproof and can do whatever she wants. I think she needs to be champ again. And I think it would be awesome if she was champ again. Baby faces are always more fun when they're chasing, but she's like the rare exception where she could be the champ. And it's a lot of fun watching people chase her, because she's just the bigger fish in I don't even want to say the pond. It's like a lake. So she's like a shark in the lake, and it would be fun to watch all these little barracudas swimming around after her. I think it could be awesome.
It's been such a huge shift. Well, obviously, like you, I'm a huge fan of her work. It's been such a huge shift starting the year. One, and we were obviously rooting for her at the start of the year, but leaving Judgment Day, and still having the ties. And like you said, she has the Terror Twins duo, her and Damian Priest, but really forging the path ahead as a solo act. The Rhea Ripley Liv Morgan feud has been great. I think it's going to be a standout match from Raw on Netflix, and to me, it's been a great year. Like you said, unfortunately, there were injuries and some setbacks along the way. But this match should be awesome on Raw. Whenever this has to happen in 2025, whenever that moment occurs in the next 12 months where she hits a riptide on Dirty Dominic Mysterio, I think all will be right in the world. Really strong year for her, again, cementing her place as one of the foundational pieces in WWE. And she's not even 30 yet, Brad. Much like Kris Statlander, they remind me of each other in many ways in terms of their presence and in-ring ability.
Yeah.
The best is yet to come for Rhea Ripley. We've seen a lot in her early career, and I'm really excited at the prospect of we truly haven't seen the best yet.
I had to check and see when Jordan Grace's contract was up, because I thought that might be somebody to get in there and save. And we know there's some other fellow Australian Haas wrestlers that are around in Orlando and other places that might be able to come in and help Rhea out. I could see that happening easily. I'm just so excited. Charlotte returning on that Netflix special makes all the sense in the world to me, though, because she's been gone. I don't know if she's healthy. I know there was an update posted recently on Fightful Select, but I didn't get a chance to even look at it. It might have been on one of their pods. And I want to see it so bad. Okay, Tyler, my question for you, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. The WWE house show, I believe it's called the Holiday Tour right now, is really fun to look at. You see Rhea and Bianca and Naomi are all dancing in the ring wearing Christmas gear. I know Bianca was smacking Rhea in the butt, I believe, with her hair. It was the whole thing, man. We had CM Punk run in for a save. I think Damian Priest was getting beat down, and CM Punk came running in from the back wearing a towel and a shower cap to save the day. It looks like so much fun. And I saw a lot of chatter online. A lot of people were requesting things. And here's my question. People have clamored that the WWE house shows be recorded and then made available on Peacock or whatever platforms, because they look like they're so much fun. Tyler, should we see videos that are non-fan videos from house shows?
Sparingly. I would be happy if it was one particular house show annually, whether that be MSG or somewhere in Arizona, Tucson, Phoenix, wherever, because that's my own personal proclivities. But from a okay, from a fan perspective, of course, I want to see as much wrestling as possible.
Sure.
But obviously, from a business perspective, what you said, Brad, is really gospel in that they want to create this excitement around these house shows so that you will pay to attend them live, which is why they're not going to put, a produced version of it on Peacock or for
Yeah.
us to see. So as a fan, give me one annual. I don't need more than that, but from WWE standpoint, particularly with the way ticket prices are right now for their shows, they're charging a lot because their product is as hot as ever. From a business standpoint, I understand why we probably won't see any of these ever. But as a fan, certainly give me MSG, give me the Arizona show if I'm not able to make it. Absolutely. I just don't think it's realistic.
I agree with you completely. Now, what I think they should do, and if you're listening, give me a call, WWE. I think what they should do, I shouldn't give it away, I guess. Never mind. Just steal my idea, I guess. I'll see you later. So, what I think they should do is record these things, but do interviews with some of the talent that are involved, create sort of a 2024 or 2025, I guess, going forward, house show documentary video thing where it's like the best of house shows and have that be a thing.
That would be dope.
We would all watch it. It would be a ton of fun. You don't need anybody on commentary, but you could have Triple H or Michael Cole or somebody do commentary for the documentary. Whoever's conducting the interviews could even do it. I think it could be so much fun. Like, so Punk, how did this shower cap idea come together and have him tell that story? I think the talent would have so much fun talking about this because it's non-canon, it's non-storyline, it's just them having fun at a house show. How awesome would that be?
They do it well. Yeah, they do it well. I love
that's
that
where
idea.
we get to really get to see them being them versus them being characters. And I think that could be really interesting, peek behind the curtain stuff. That would be another avenue for, well, let's face it, it'd be another avenue for revenue for the WWE, but it would be more content for whatever they want to put out or get people to go like, yeah, I want to get on Netflix because this is a Netflix produced thing that they're doing. Could be awesome. And it could be a way in. I wasn't thinking that way when I made the question, but now I'm like, yeah, this is a no-brainer. Give us some crumbs to make us want to go. It's now you've created this awesome behind the scenes video that's also serving as a promotional vehicle for all your house shows. And now your already exorbitant prices can tick up a little bit. Prices are crazy though. Now, Tyler, I'm sure we missed stuff, Marathon City, but what did we miss?
Wow, we missed a lot. I have this is the point of the show where I decide what do I want to share from my list. Okay, very quickly. ASU versus Texas, Peach Bowl, New Year's Day, big deal for folks around here.
Mm-hmm.
Go Sun Devils. The Book One Sedona sneakers are also dropping on New Year's Day. You and I have spoken at length on air and off air about the Book Ones, whether we're feeling it or not. The Sedona colorway is perhaps the most ambitious to date. Of course, it is paying homage to the city.
I do like
Sedona.
it.
You do?
Okay.
Okay.
I like the colorway. I don't like the heels, but I like the colorway.
Yeah, the heels are a little much.
The tag's cool.
Yeah, it is. It's the first sneaker I could think of that's paying homage to a city in Arizona.
Yeah, I would get those. Those are dope.
Yeah, I'm probably going to. And stay tuned. You will hear on next week's episode if it happened. Sure. And then finally, Brad, you mentioned this earlier. A big shout out to Fightful's Rob Wilkins for joining us for our 2024 year-end special. We dished out awards. We relived the best and worst of pro wrestling and pop culture. So we hope you check that out. We also hope to get your vote. We've been nominated. We are a finalist for the Sports Podcast Group's Best Wrestling Podcast, back-to-back years. Such a cool honor. Fightful also received a nomination. Big congratulations to Rob and company over there. Again, we would be honored to receive your support. I'm sure Fightful would echo the same sentiment. Again, if you visit sportspodcastgroup.com, you can learn more, you can cast your vote, and also big ups to Hip to the Games and the Baseline for being selected as finalists for the Best Basketball Podcast category.
Wow, very thoughtful and thorough. I had a couple of things. I have a question for you. I snuck one in here, but we'll get to that in a second. Big E, Liv, CM Punk, they were all on football products this week. CM Punk was on the sideline. The next day, he was running around in a shower cap. Really, really cool to see WWE talent during their quote off time, still getting their faces out there, getting the titles out there, and getting that recognition out there on a lot of eyeballs, especially on the Netflix broadcasted football games, which I enjoyed. A lot of people had thoughts about Beyonce, about little gun signature when she said shoot, which I don't understand. Like, she said shoot. What do you think he's shooting at? Bow and arrow? Like, relax a little. And then other people were like, well, she's not any good. Like, oh, you're just showing your racism. The WWE house shows with CM Punk in a bathrobe happened. We already talked about that. Rampage concluded after a 3-year run. We talked about that a bit on the year-end award specials. Check that out if you want our thoughts or my thoughts. Tyler, my question: Ricochet has been active on the Twitter to get some heat. He's been retweeting stuff and saying stuff, including a retweet of Andrew Tate to get heat. Tyler, your thoughts as I sip vigorously from my coffee.
I had no idea. This is completely organic. That's disappointing. You and I discovered that he follows this guy, but I did not know about the retweeting. Yeah, I could do without that. I like my Ricochet Sans Andrew Tate support. I love the spirit gun. I love what we're leaning into with the character on AEW TV, but that is not the way I want him to generate heat. No, thank you.
Yeah, I had a feeling that you might say that, but man, after a while of being down on AEW for me this last week on TV and then this pay-per-view, I've been up, man. Like, you could say AEW is in a pretty good place. You could even say it's in a good state right now. And speaking of good states, 19 Media Group, we got to talk about it. So let's play the music. It's time for State of 19.
Late breaking news from the world of 19 Media.
Absolutely, Brad. Closing out the episode, big props to our colleagues at 19 Media. There's so much exciting work going on, so many products we recommend you check out, and that starts with the dynamic duo of Mo and Mike. The guys continue to drop new installments of Hidden Gems football ahead of NFL action each week. Mike also released a new episode of The Salty Thoughts of Mike Steff, sharing his perspective on the developing murder case against Luigi Mangione and more. Follow them at Mike Steffens _ and at A Power Mojo.
Jabari Davis is back with the network. Check out the Mixed Company podcast hosted by Jameson and Classy. Jabari produces the show, and the guys discuss the latest happenings in boxing. Follow them at Mixed Co Podcast. I believe inspired by us in several different ways, Tyler.
You might be onto something. Callan Warren dropped a new edition of the Baseline NBA podcast. They previewed the league's Christmas games. Stay tuned for their next drop as they continue to discuss rumors from around the league. And it's possible by the time you're listening or watching us, they have a new episode out. They're outstanding. Follow them at NBA Baseline.
Jessica and Carmen debuted their new show, A Prude Awakening, earlier in the fall. Check out their 3 episodes to learn topics ranging in discussing woke culture to veterans, why veterans face homelessness in the United States. Also, you can check out the special Christmas episode of their sister show, Small Town USA. You can follow Jessica at Jess, JESTAMOU, and Carmen at Carmen J. McDonald.
Desmond of Hip to the Games dropped a new episode. He shares his thoughts on Jimmy Butler trade rumors, the new All-Star Game format, and more. You can follow Desmond's show at Hip to the Games. That is HIP, the number 2, DA Games.
Remember how much that used to scare me? Finally, join Ricky and Kwame on the Late Night Lake Show podcast. I almost said it, LNLS. I'm so used to saying that as they discuss the latest headlines surrounding the Los Angeles Lakers. And I know they're going to have thoughts this week. You can follow them at Late Night Lakers.
Brad, this was a great episode. Lots to be excited for. Of course, lots to be grateful for as we enter a new year. Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you for rocking with us for all this time. Whether you've been with us from the very beginning in October 2021, whether you discovered us this year, maybe you discovered us through this very episode, we thank you for being a part of our journey. And here's to many more celebrations in the new year. Take care. Gimmick Infringement is a part of 19 Media Group. You can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube via the 19 Media Group channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.
Bye.